use that kind of to push yourself, then if it benefits you and it helps you to complete that task, like taking your meds, then it might be worth doing that.
I do it constantly. I always do that one. I make myself accountable to my wife without her knowing it.
Please note that if you're going to do this,
that face.
make sure that you're in a proper mental space in order to do something like that, because this is not here in order to try to make anybody worse in their own mental health. And this is a task, this is something that is not going to work for everybody, because for some of us, like myself, it leads to nothing but guilt and shame if I fail.
Yes.
So, and the reason why I brought it up, and I only use it for very small, very special, important tasks, like taking my meds, right? If Amanda doesn't ask me to take my meds in the morning, I guilt myself. I guilt myself into going to take them, because if she asks and I say no, then I feel fucking guilty if I don't. But taking my meds is super important.
See, whereas I will only do that when it comes to things like because my wife gets off work at 5 o'clock, so she's home by 5:30, right? So that way, if I know that I have to have the dishes done, have the kitchen cleaned, etc., by the time she gets home, right? Then that way, if I make myself accountable to her, because I mean, I kind of am, but I mean, like, I'm, telling myself, you are accountable to her to accomplish this task, then the odds of it getting done are substantially higher than if I don't.
So it's definitely a topic, and it's definitely something that you have to be very careful with.
Yeah, it's not going to be for anything massive, but it's going to be for, if I got to do the dishes, clean the kitchen, not, fucking mow the entire neighborhood or something extreme like that.
Now, with that being said, you are listening to the same podcast. We are still going to talk about invalidation, and that's going to be coming up next when we go ahead and blow your mind with our own stories about how we've been invalidated because of our own piss poor planning and task management abilities.
I don't know her.
I don't want to do this.
Can I get out now?
No.
Can I get off this bus?
No, I locked the doors. You're stuck here. And we'll see you all after this commercial break, where Spaz is going to start getting very uncomfortable, and I'm going to enjoy every last minute of it.
Excellent. I can't fucking wait.
Were you recently assaulted by a watercraft in a freak staircase accident, and now you can't even lie in bed without groaning in constant agony? Or maybe you're just having trouble affording that vital medication that allows you to function at a basic level in society. Maybe it's time to look into the FML Insurance Protection Plan from ADHD Incorporated. Okay, so maybe protection isn't exactly the right word, since we're not actually protecting you from anything, and we're really only covering a fraction of the costs, compared to the ridiculous amount of money that you're obligated to pay us for your peace of mind. But hey, capitalism, am I right? Are we better than your current insurance provider? Maybe. Probably not. But who even knows anymore? So why not roll the dice and find out now with FML Insurance from ADHD Incorporated. Coverage does not include spilling hot coffee on yourself, getting scratched by a rabid trash panda, prescription costs, doctor's notes, accidental death, accidental accidents, any accident that occurs outside of your house, or any accident that occurs inside of your house. No takesy-backsies. Sucks to be you. Get your peace of mind today with FML Insurance from ADHD Incorporated. Pretending to help you since 1976.
As Lee so kindly and gently called out Spaz right at the end of that last segment,
Nobody's fucking surprised.
We are going to be talking about stories of how we were personally invalidated by our inability to manage time or plan. And I think Lee, after that shot fired, has decided she wants to go first.
You know what's really amusing about this is that Patrick's trying to throw me off kilter here by throwing me under the fucking bus.
That you're driving?
Beep, beep.
This is true, I am driving. I'm trying to figure out the logistics of this.
Beep, beep, motherfucker.
But little does this defunct content creator know.
Debunked? I'm not debunked, motherfucker. I'm the one who does the debunking.
Not anymore, you don't.
He can do it from the safety of his bedroom, and then that way he doesn't have to worry about the community guideline violation.
Hey, time out. I'm not saying I'm completely done with TikTok. If one of those things comes around me enough where I'm mad, I will come back and do a special video just for fucking idiots.
I told you.
What are they going to do, permaban me?
So he's trying to catch me off kilter, but little does he know, I came prepared.
Figured you did. That's why I sent it to you.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. Are we all ready? Are we all cozy? I'm going to tell us a little story now.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Where's my fucking weighted
I don't like
blanket?
these stories. I need my squishmallow.
I feel like if I'm going to call anybody out in this podcast, it's going to be Spaz right now.
Okay, I'm good.
I'm
with
sure
this.
Patrick is going to feel this as well, but I'm aiming for Spaz.
Good for
I'm my
this.
emotional support
Oh.
Wookiee. I'm ready to go.
Chewie! A lot of you know that I've been married for 12 years.
God damn it.
That's a long fucking time. And right now, my husband and I are very happy and we understand, and he's starting to come around and do the work that it takes as a spouse of somebody with ADHD who's neurotypical to understand the struggles of somebody who struggles with executive dysfunction due to ADHD, along with all of the plethora of other things. It hasn't always been that way, though. My husband and I have been at each other's throats before over issues about time management and planning on my part. Now, this is before I ended up with my diagnosis of ADHD, so we weren't really sure what was going on, and as I'm sure some of you can attest to, when you don't have that diagnosis of ADHD and you fail to get things done, it's very easy to just say, you're lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or for other people to try to tell you that you're lazy. And essentially, this is one of the things that almost led to my marriage dissolving 7 years in. I had a really, really, really hard time with prioritization of tasks. I had left the military where I met my husband, and for the first time ever, I was home. I didn't have a job. My only job was to keep up with the house. These are tasks that I find boring and difficult to do because they don't provide me any dopamine. Didn't realize it at the time. Realize it now, though. So things weren't getting done. They weren't necessarily not getting done because I didn't like doing them, but because I would forget that I said I was going to do XYZ. I would forget that the dishes were sitting in the sink or the dishwasher and needing to be put away. I was constantly forgetting to pull whatever meat we were consuming that night out of the freezer. I was consistently forgetting that the bathroom upstairs even existed because I didn't use it unless we were in the bedroom. Like, our bedroom was a disaster area because it was upstairs and I spent all of my time downstairs. Out of sight, out of mind was the story of my life. And because of this, my husband would get very frustrated because he would come home and the first thing he would do is to go upstairs to change and use the bathroom up there, and it would be a mess because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Additionally, dinner wouldn't be ready because I'd be trying to flash thaw some sort of meat substance because my husband is very much a steak and potato kind of guy. And it wouldn't be ready because I would wait until the very last moment to do it because I fucking forgot. Task after task after task would just not be done. And my husband would look at me and ask me, what was it that you did all day? And it wasn't that I wasn't doing things, because I was very much doing things, but I was getting distracted by all of the little things as well. I would start a single task and I would go into, let's say, the nursery and say, my job is to clean the nursery right now. But there would be a bottle sitting on the table that would lead me into the kitchen, that would lead me to clean something in the kitchen, that would lead me to a different room to do something else. All of these tasks looked like they weren't getting done. And because I couldn't prioritize what needed to get done, and my time management didn't allow me to focus on what I needed to do and to break those tasks up into sections, it looked like I was doing nothing, and I almost lost my marriage over it.
I am not snuggling an emotional support Wookiee right now.
You were supposed to be going after him.
I said I was aiming for him. If you were in the crossfire, that's on you.
I have been living with Katie for 7 years now in a relationship. So,
Yeah.
Now, where the invalidation in this story is not just the fact that my husband would think that I was lazy. It wasn't just the idea that he would ask me what I did all day, but that this would get turned around and used against me in arguments. That I wasn't holding up my end of the deal, that we made vows, and when I got out of the military, we said that I was going to be the one to stay home and to do these things and to raise the kids. This was my job, and that this is what I asked for, and I was doing a piss poor job at doing what I said I was going to do.
I've got a question for you. How many of you two, have heard, why can't you just do what you said you would?
All the time. I still hear it today.
Same.
Not as often,
And
but I still hear it today.
I don't hear it as much today, you know, and to be fair, Katie did not realize
To
I
be
was
fair.
ADHD. Katie did not realize I was ADHD when she was saying these things to me. But it's still an invalidation technique, and it's still really damaging, especially as somebody who doesn't know, because you're already so hard on yourself, and then you add that level of disappointment and invalidation on top of it, and it really tears you apart.
Yeah, for sure. I heard it this week, recently.
I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Now, I'm going to end this story by combining not only invalidation as it relates to this episode, but last episode as well. We're going to do a whole big fucking roundup. Are you ready?
Just don't do shots of it.
You fucking ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My husband is neurotypical, and my husband, for years after my diagnosis, refused to do any research or listen to me when I explained why I was struggling, what it was about my ADHD that made doing these things so hard, or why I reacted particular ways in situations. For years, he would continue to use it against me in every argument that we ever had. It was unbearable at the worst of times, just barely manageable at the best. And it wasn't until I had to force my husband to sit down and I broke it down scientifically what is happening in my brain that he's turned it around and he started to pay more attention to what it was, and he started actually reaching out to help me. And the reason I want to end on this note is because I know that I just took shots at people like Spaz and Patrick and a lot of you that are listening.
No, you didn't, you fucking bitch.
I also want to make sure that we are aware that there is hope, that not all invalidation is permanent, and that people can change. They can change the way that they approach things. That does not mean that it is all on you. They have to be willing to do the work. I had to explain it to my husband in a manner that made sense for him to understand what did and did not work. For him, what it was that finally made it click was explaining each and every one of these symptoms that we've gone over for the past 2 weeks. Explaining not only why I act the way that I act, or I have a problem doing certain things, or I do things that he doesn't understand. Not only why, but the how he can help. The trying to put him into my shoes. If you try to deal with somebody who is an invalidating asshole, because let's face it, that's exactly what my husband was, there is always hope that that person, especially if it's somebody who's close to you, can be reached if you can figure out how to explain it to them. But there is also going to be a time where you have to learn to cut those losses as well. My mother is an invalidating asshole that I had to cut out of my life. Know your limit. Set your boundary. Don't allow invalidating assholes to rule your world. But if this is somebody who is important to you and that you deem worthy of being in your life, make the effort. The end.
Okay.
How the fuck are we supposed to follow that?
It's not my fault that Patrick made me go first.
I think I want to follow this
Ugh.
because I have something to step right off of this.
Step right off the cliff.
This is something that happened today. So I want to start this conversation out and this story out right away by saying that my partner is not neurotypical. Katie is not neurotypical. She is not ADHD, but she is not neurotypical. And she has been trying really hard and been really amazing, especially when I was suffering through the effexor and the lack of executive function that I had from that, of not validating me, not attacking me because I couldn't do things. So I have a very good partner in that aspect, okay? Trying really hard not to invalidate me. And today, it started last night when I started making plans, because motorcycles have been an important part of my life for a long time. And I have a motorcycle that I can't ride right now because it causes massive cramps in my hips. And I just can't